Hey guys, welcome back to Teal House Farm. Today we're going to can some green tomato salsa verde, which I like to keep on hand for using with, I have a cheesy enchilada soup. I can link that recipe below. I also use it for inside, like baked enchiladas like that you make in the oven. It's really good. It's not something I use a lot, but I love to have it on hand for a couple of those recipes, like I mentioned, that I like to have it for. And the other day I had a tomato plant in the garden where the stake, like in a storm, the stake that was holding the tomato plant up fell over and it caused the whole plant to be uprooted. So I went out, it was a huge plant. I got all of these green tomatoes off of it because I didn't want them to just, dry up and rot or whatever, since the plant is no longer in the ground. And we're going to use these to make the green tomato salsa verde. Salsa verde is usually made with tomatillos, and I don't grow those. But this recipe that uses the green tomatoes instead is still really good. And we only need a few things. So we need these green tomatoes, and this is actually probably more than we're going to need. We need 6 to 7 cups of green tomatoes. I have a feeling I'm going to have too many. And with the extras, I'm just going to can them in slices to be used for making fried tomatoes. We're going to need a bunch of jalapenos from the garden, so I went out and grabbed some. You can put up to a cup of jalapenos in. I am going to use less than that because I don't quite like to burn my face off. I like it a little milder. So I'll probably use about a half a cup of diced jalapenos, and the other half cup I'm going to use this red pepper from the garden, which just is going to give some crunch still like the jalapenos would, and the onion that you need too will. It'll help kind of fill out the recipe, make sure there's still enough quantity-wise, but will reduce the spice. And then you also need either lime juice or lemon juice. Lime juice would be my first pick, especially if you are used to traditional salsa verde and it's something that you really like for like dipping your chips in. You will notice the slight difference between the lime and the lemon, because I use this recipe in recipes where there's a lot of other ingredients. I really don't notice a difference. I've made it both ways over several years, and I don't really like salsa verde just as a chip dip. And so because it's baked in, I use it in baked in things with so many things, I do not see a difference. And lemon juice is more available where we are, and I already had some on hand, so I didn't want to go buy lime juice just for this one recipe. Now, because this has lemon or lime juice, depending what you're using in it, and quite a bit, it actually helps to raise the acidity, which makes this safe for water bath canning. Usually things that have peppers or onions in them, they need to be pressure canned because it's going to be a low acid or not a high enough acid food mixture. But thanks to the tomatoes, plus our little bit of juice, Ball Canning, which is a very reliable source for recipes and canning advice, says that this is totally okay to water bath can. We're going to do it in half pints today. It's going to have to be in the water bath canner for 20 minutes. If you want to do pints, it's 25 minutes. And I believe the quarts is 30 minutes, though I'm not looking at the recipe right now, but that sounds right to me. So basically, this is really simple. We're going to dice everything up into salsa-sized pieces, and we're going to throw it in a big pot to get started. You can, if you are just, a green salsa connoisseur, you can peel your green tomatoes. I am not going to do that. I don't feel like it really makes a difference. But if you want just the smoothest green salsa verde you've ever had, peel the green tomatoes. You would do it just like you do with the red tomatoes, where you dunk them in the boiling water for the 30 seconds, I think it is, with the little X on the bottom, and then you take them off and try not to burn your fingers off as you peel off the skins. I'm not doing that today. I'm just going to wash the tomatoes. I'm going to chop them up with the skins on. It is not a safety issue. It's a texture issue, and the texture does not bother me. But that is just so you know, because the texture bothers you and you want super, super smooth salsa verde, you need to peel your tomatoes. First things first, we need to wash the jars we're going to use in some hot soapy water. We're going to use half pints today. We're going to add water to our water bath canner, place our clean jars in there, and we're going to simmer them for 10 minutes to sterilize. Next, while that's happening, we're going to go ahead and chop up our green tomatoes, chop up 1 onion. We're going to also dice up a red bell pepper. This part's optional. I just add it to help with the spice level. And then put on some gloves. We're going to cut in half, seed our jalapenos from the garden, and then we're going to cut them real fine into some thin strips and into some very small chunks so you don't get huge pieces in a scoop. We're going to add that all to a pot and then add 3, maybe 4 cloves worth of minced garlic. Mix it up, and and then a half cup of either your lime or your lemon juice, whichever you want to use. Put that together, then bring it to a boil and simmer uncover for 5 minutes. Meanwhile, you gotta keep the little man busy, so he's gonna splash in the sink so he stays out of the way. We don't want anybody getting burned. Just a few spices, some cumin, some oregano, some pepper, and some canning salt. So really pretty simple. We are gonna add a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, a teaspoon of oregano, and 2 teaspoons worth of the cumin. Now you can also add a half cup of cilantro. I do not like cilantro, so I left it out, but you definitely throw that in there for a true salsa verde if you like cilantro. Once that's all mixed in, then we're going to fill up our jars. 1/2 inch headspace, wipe the rims, add your lids and your rings to fingertip tightness, all in the canner. Then we're going to lower it and bring it to a boil. Once it's at a boil, you can start your time. After the timer is up, let it sit for 5 minutes off, and then you go ahead and raise up your rack and take out your jars. I like to set mine on a flour sack towel. You can put them on a cookie sheet or on a cooling rack, whatever you want to use. And we're going to let them sit on the counter for 24 hours. After 24 hours, we can go ahead and remove the rings and store them on the shelf. Always remember to label in date to our final product so you don't forget what you made. I hope you enjoy. We'll see you all next time.